So I feel like I've been running away from this whole thing for almost 10 years now. I have ran away from filming and recording and being raw and unfiltered and unpolished because, well, mostly because of fear. I rationalized back then that, I have a background in marketing. Like, I know what works and doesn't work, right? I know. And why am I doing things that aren't going to be effective or good, that aren't going to show up, that aren't going to be picked up by algorithm, that aren't going to succeed? Why am I going to create something that isn't aesthetically nice? There's all these thoughts in my head that, it can sound good. It can sound like logic. It can sound like wisdom. It can sound like, to a degree, that there's some truth in it. But I'm realizing I overcompensate a lot by researching or becoming knowledgeable on something because I don't want to feel incompetent. And doing something in a way that is kind of against what I've learned or the research or the knowledge that I've picked up, that most of us have heard, even here on YouTube, even every social media platform nowadays. Make your titles like these. Do this with SEO. Do this with Instagram. Make your cover titles, etc., etc., etc. And, I'm not here to bash those things. That's not the point of this. To those who want that type of information, there is 100% a place for that. People watch them because they can be effective. So this isn't even really about that. This isn't really to debate its effectiveness or its truth or whatever. This is more so me just sharing how, for me, and I think for people that can be similar to me, especially us neurodivergents who hyper-focus and like to learn everything about that thing we're interested in and we're excited about in that moment, and then move on. I'm realizing it can do so much more harm than good. And if you are anything like me, I hope this resonates. I hope this helps you know you're not alone. I hope this reassures your gut. I'm still learning how or what unmasking even means. It is such a journey, and it is so mind-boggling to see how masking has been all around me. It's so tangled in my identity that it's so hard to pick up. And as somebody who values authenticity so much, it is so crazy to finally feel, not just see, but feel the layers and the depth that I've masked. And I've tried to mold myself, and I've tried to show up in ways that the world says, or at least the messaging I'm receiving, is this is how we should be doing things. This is how to show up in the world. This is how you present yourself, whatever that is. Anyways, I'm rambling now. Let me just get to it. I've always loved creating content. Had my first camera by the time I was 16. And by first camera, I mean the first one that I bought by myself and saved up for and played around with photography and stuff. Shout out to my cousin at the Michelle for inspiring me that while I was in Canada with her. I love her. She's We just relate so much. Okay, that's for another thing. Anyways, I have known that I enjoy sharing stories. I enjoy creating stories. I enjoy filmmaking for that reason. I enjoy poetry for that reason. There's so many different types of storytelling that I love and I enjoy. At the end of the day, it's not really about the format that I hold on to. It's more the concept of storytelling and being a storyteller, or just like creating, just making things. I love making things. And that's been my release, I guess you could say, for a lack of better words, when things are difficult in my life. And creating is also the thing that sparks joy in me and helps me feel connected to other people. But because I also knew that I can't really pick a niche as Sarah, just as a person, I don't even know what niche I fall under. I mean, I guess you could argue that storytelling is a niche. I don't know. But like, if I was to look at what I see most on the media, any type, there's a lot of different categories that we can put people under, and it's easier to thrive that way. But the reality for me, and now knowing I have ADHD, it makes so much sense. I love creating in so many different ways that to pick a niche makes me feel boxed in. And I don't just mean boxed in the sense of like, oh, I feel like I'm physically contained. It's not really that. It's more like I feel boxed in terms of, well, what am I going to put for my SEO? Well, what am I going to put for my description? Because I don't really know how to describe me in a way that's that precise. So that's kind of one of the things that's constantly come up for me. I don't really know what niche I fall under. I just know I want to create. And honestly, I don't know how that niche is going to evolve. I think I just said involve. I mean, I don't know how that niche is going to evolve. I don't know if I'm going to be picking the right thing, or if this is appropriate, or if this is really going to be an accurate representation of what I would like to do and how I'd like to be. Like, I want to have my flexibility. I want to be able to play. I want to be able to explore. Like, these are the things that drive me, and therefore these are the things I want to allow in my creativity. Because I kind of just thinking about what is right and wrong and how I should do it and how I shouldn't, and picking a niche and all that type of stuff, that becomes another barrier to me actually just coming here and creating. The other thing is, again, now knowing I have ADHD, makes sense, but before, when I had no idea, I knew, and I'm very, very, very hyper aware, that I can be impulsive sometimes with like how I talk. I think a lot. I think so much because, well, I enjoy it and I like being introspective. But there's the other part that thinks a lot, because I know I can be impulsive, and sometimes I can phrase things in a way that can be misconstrued, misunderstood. It can hurt, even if I do my best to phrase things as well as I can. It may not make sense to someone else. Like, it's never gonna land well with everyone. And that fear of hurting someone else or disappointing someone else or making them feel misunderstood, because I know how that feels, to somebody who knows me in real life and might interpret how I say things in a way that I don't intend. Like, all of that is so scary to me that I would almost rather just not say anything or not talk instead of talking and then hurting someone I care about, even when I don't mean for it to hurt them in that way, or even if I did my best to say as well as I could, there's still something there that's going to be misconstrued. And that's happened to me in the past. That's happened so many times, and people don't necessarily come up to me and ask me, like, hey, is this what you meant? You know, like, most of the time people just hear something, have their own interpretation, and then let that narrative and let that story play over and over in their head without clarifying anything with me. Sometimes I might say something and it sounds like a story that they might relate to just because they know me in real life, and half the time it's probably not even them that the story is about or anything like that. It's just an assumption. And that's the hard part when I put myself out there on a platform where people can see me, both people who know me in real life and people who don't know me. And usually it's the people who don't know me in real life that handle the YouTube content so much better, because they're not coming from from their own perspective of how Sarah should be and how Sarah should show up, or what I think Sarah is supposed to be doing and what's appropriate for her and all that. Like, the lens are clear when we don't have an already existing relationship and we see each other here on this platform. Because for me, it's so scary to like have people I know see me online and have their own interpretations without clarifying anything with me, and then letting that ruin our friendship, letting that ruin our relationship, whatever that is. I resist. I play small. It makes me not want to be seen, because if being seen costs me relationships that matter to me, like, why do it? When, for me as Sarah, my closest relationships matter the most to me. And that was my logic. I don't know how many times I have wanted to share things, but then just think about, like, is the way I'm saying it fair? Is the way I'm saying it accurate? Is the way that I'm saying it considerate? All these things. I like to think things through. And despite me doing all of that thinking and introspection and mulling things over to make sure that I'm coming from a fair perspective, it is still not enough to prevent any person that knows me in real life from having their own feelings about me showing up online. This is very much tied into my fear of being seen. I'm afraid that it's going to cost me relationships. But the more that I feel like I'm being pushed into this place where I finally cave in and I finally just say, you know what, this is where my heart and soul is right now. This is where I'm being led. And I really can't do much right now other than just talk and film myself because of my concussion. So, kind of out of options here. I still enjoy playing video games, but when I've done 2 hours of testings or vision therapy, it's taking me days to recover. I'm exhausted. My eyes just can't really focus or even just like take in any information. So that's out of the picture while I'm resting. But my vocal cords are working and I can share my thoughts. That's working. So if that's all I've got, then I guess I'm using it because I've got no other options, and my ADHD over here is just going haywire. My ADHD is going haywire with not being able to physically do things and not do the other things that are simulating for me. So here we are. And I can't help but think like, wow. It's taking me this long just to get my bearings in. It's taking me this long just to say yes to what could have been. Don't know why I said that and then singing. I'm probably going to cut that out. That was a bad melody anyways. I have been running away from just showing up on a larger platform out of fear, losing relationships that I was probably going to lose anyways. I'm just thinking about the other areas of my life. For example, at Sunmi, my dog training business, I really wanted to keep my follower size small. It was partially capacity that I was worried about, but it was also like my way of trying to avoid unnecessary confrontation or unnecessary misunderstandings with people that I don't even really know, or people that I may know and just might have disagreements with when it comes to dog training and different perspectives and all of that. And that's just one example of how I've intentionally kept myself contained so that I don't have to run into all of these potential scenarios where there might be some sort of conflict, or I might feel overwhelmed emotionally because I don't know how to navigate what might come up. I look at my life right now and these relationships that I might lose from misunderstandings that were never clarified, or narratives in our head that weren't shared transparently. If that's the kind of dynamic we have, regardless of whether or not I put stuff out online on YouTube, or regardless of whatever the platform is that's I'm using or not using, it's going to happen anyways. If that's the dynamic I have with a person, at some point, that's going to come to life. That misunderstanding, that narrative, that is going to show up in our relationship, and it's still going to break the relationship if that's the dynamic I have, regardless of whether or not I move forward with the things I believe and I feel like I'm meant to go towards. And even now, I can feel some old narrative and old thinking patterns, or I can't even think right now. I can feel those old thoughts coming back into my head of like, so-and-so might think that I'm talking about them, but I'm not. Or this person, like, there's gonna be... It's just so funny to me, because there's gonna be somebody that listens to this, that hears this, especially from my past, that's going to say, are they talking about me? Is she talking about this thing? Like, that's gonna happen. And what's really funny is I'm not even talking about anyone specific right now. Like, there's nobody specific as I share these things, at least in my head, because I'm talking about a pattern I have had. But that awareness, that thought comes, I'm so used to allowing those thoughts to come that thought just came right away as soon as I started talking about these things. While part of me is saying, or thinking, yeah, I've ran away from showing up on YouTube as raw as I am, or just showing up as me on a larger platform. I think deep down it's more so I have ran away from allowing myself to be seen and choosing myself despite potential misunderstandings, or despite, I don't know, being misconstrued. I've ran away from exploring where God is really trying to lead me and exploring who He's calling me to be. I've ran away from God allowing me to see myself in His eyes and through His eyes. I've just ran away from becoming. I have chained myself to people's thoughts and perspectives, and the fear of losing relationships that are more committed to their narratives and to their ways than they are to even just building and growing with me. And even though I believe that I am pretty open in a one-on-one conversation, and I believe I'm pretty expressive, I guess that's a better word, when I'm having conversations with people about topics I care about, in a sense, me choosing to not move forward towards this path and towards this form of creating and just showing up raw was a form of suppression. A lot of this can be tied to what I now know is ADHD, and a lot of this can be tied to my complex PTSD. A lot of this can be tied to so many things. It's not necessarily just about any one specific person or event or anything. And it's taking me this long again to start dabbling. It's taking me having a concussion so severe that I can't really read very much or for a very long time, or that essentially all my other options are gone, which isn't quite that, I don't know, it's not really how faith should work, right? Should. Because then it's kind of like, well, I don't know, I just feel like I'm Jonah at this time, at least. I feel like Jonah. I don't know where or how this is going to go. I don't really know what I'm going to be doing or what I'm going to be talking about or how this YouTube channel is going to be. I really don't know. But I think I'm slowly becoming more comfortable with admitting that I don't know. And saying that I'm just gonna figure it out as I go. I only have the next step in front of me. It's exhausting to constantly think about how everyone else is going to perceive me or my words and misunderstand me, despite me doing my absolute best to be considered, despite me doing my absolute best to come from a place that's with good intentions, or to come from a place of making sure my heart is pure when I speak and that it's got no animosity towards anything, there's no passive aggressiveness. Like, despite me doing all that, and it's exhausting to keep trying to carry that weight. It's exhausting to keep constantly thinking about everybody else that I'm not even considering how much energy I could be putting towards myself if I just let that go. And yeah, I think I'm done running away. I'm done holding on to other people more than I hold on to myself. I'm done holding on to other people more than I'm holding on to where God is calling me to and who God is calling me to become. Done staying in this box that I learned to fit myself into because I didn't know where else I belonged. And I love exploring and playing and learning more about who Sarah is and untangling myself out of who I think Sarah should be or who others think Sarah should be, and this world of shoulda, woulda, coulda. I share all of these because while I know we all have a different path, I know there's someone else out there who does relate to maybe not everything, but at least one of the things that I shared. I know there's someone else out there, especially someone who's neurodivergent, who has also stayed in this box that they found themselves in because they wanted to belong, because they wanted to be part of something, because they wanted to be part of something bigger. And if that's you, I just want you to know that you're not alone. It sucks and it hurts to love so deeply and to always want to see other people and be understanding of other people and be compassionate towards other people. And yet, no matter how hard you try, to still somehow be the one that was wrong and that be the one that made the mistakes. And in the midst of all that, I want to encourage you to not forsake your purpose just for the temporary sense of belonging. I hope you find a sense of belonging here as I continue to share things that I'm going through and things that I've been thinking about, or just even sharing stories that aren't fully done yet. Because the more we try to become who we are alone, the louder the voices are of our past. This has been long. A huge part of me wants to just be like, I'm just going to redo all that. It's just so hard to share in the unbecoming. It's so much easier to share when we've already become that thing that we think we should be. I'm not good with transitions. I'm not good with intros. I'm not good with outros. I still haven't quite figured that out. The same way I haven't figured out a lot of other things in my life. But if you have stayed with me this long and have listened till the end of this video, I want to encourage you to subscribe and like, and I hope to see you in the next one.